Okay, good afternoon. This is Lindsay. It is am I recording? Yes, I am. The date is Tuesday, July 30th, 2024. It's Tuesday and um today in today's video I'm going to talk about gang stalking or gaslighting as being gaslit as a targeted individual. And this is an example of what goes on in my life, just a typical day of my targeting. This is an example, okay, of what happened today. This is fucking crazy, but so is every single day, pretty much every time I set foot out the door, as well as when I'm in this house because of all the fucking surveillance that goes on, which I can feel the surveillance watching me all the time. So about a week ago, I want to say a week ago at least, I got something in the mail, and it's a flyer from an auto dealership here in San Antonio. It's Red McCombs Driveway Motors South. Only at Toyota. You can see it says something south. The address is whatever. Okay, my finger's covering up, but you see it's got the address 1231 Southeast Military Drive, San Antonio, Texas. Uh, Whatever 78214. Okay, so hundreds of vehicles in stock, as it says. After the celebration, come get your savings event. So anyway, whatever. This came in the mail to me about I want to say 8 days ago at least. Okay. Well, as you can see on the back, there's like a game, a little lottery game thing, right? Win up to $50,000 cash, right? And all you have to do is match a couple things, and guess what? I matched. Look at that. I have a 777 and a 777. So, I was like, wow, okay. I got kind of excited thinking that, okay, all I have to do is go. It says to play, simply lift tabs on card. If you have a matching pair, you win. It says right there. And it says to play, simply lift tabs on card. If you have a matching pair, you win. And then the winner's call, which I called that number, okay? And then there's a number down there, that 400 321, to proceed to the dealership, and then proceed to the dealership during events times to claim your prize. So what I did, and then lo and behold, I realized that, oh, this is not even addressed to me. This is addressed to a man not by the name of David Napton, okay? Well, guess what? This is the same man who apparently, from what a little birdie told me, that this man committed suicide, blew his brains out in the front room over here, the bedroom, committed suicide. And I think that was probably around, I don't know, 2013 or 14 or whatever, when he was residing in this house. Apparently, that's what happened. And apparently, his body was not found until, a couple weeks later. And the body was basically decomposed on the floor. And they had covered the home up with one of those black tarps when they did their crime scene or accident investigation. They had to do whatever they do when that happens, crime scene cleanup or cleanup, those special hazmat cleanup whenever there's a death or whatever, right? That kind of thing, biohazard cleanup. And so that's what happened. But in that room where this happened, and of course, I didn't know any of this until after I moved here, until after I had already been here for a couple years. And that's when this neighbor next door mentioned to me what happened in that room. And somebody else did as well. Somebody else across the street told me the same thing. I was like, oh my God, of course I didn't know that. And, it's kind of weird living in a home where somebody committed suicide, a violent death like that. It's pretty bizarre because I'm very sensitive to these kinds of things, and I can feel sometimes there's a lot of negativity and sadness in this home that kind of permeates the air on certain days or times of the year. And I feel like I can feel this man communicating through me sometimes, and I feel sometimes like I don't even know who I am, or like his spirit has taken over my body, because I can almost like conjure up his spirit, if that makes sense, as crazy as that sounds, but I can. And what's really weird about this is that when I first moved into this home, when I walked in the door, and I didn't know anything about this house. My cousin had lived here for several years before I moved into this home, but I did not know anything about the history of this house at all, except that it was built in 1922, and it's in an older house, obviously an older home, and it's in a older neighborhood here in San Antonio. But anyway, what's really weird is for whatever reason, I was drawn to that front bedroom. Okay, the first time I moved, the first day I moved into this house, and I was still gathering my things and unpacking and whatnot, and getting settled. I went into that bedroom, and I don't even know what made me do it, because it wasn't even myself. It was like something was doing this to me. I went in that room and I laid down on the floor, like on my back, and I was just meditating. And I was meditating in there for a good hour or maybe more, just lying on the ground and seeing all these visions of stuff. And then I saw a vision of a dead body on the floor. I saw a vision of something in that house next door. And I kept hearing voices talking to me, like dead, arguing back and forth in my head, of men arguing. And it was really, things got really violent. I could hear shouting and arguing and just a lot of chaos going on in my mind. But at the same time, I was seeing the whole thing manifest in my imagination, or in my, seeing it in my mind. And I kept seeing something. And I smelled a really strange odor as well. And I'll never forget that. And I was like, what the fuck? And I woke up and I was like kind of in a daze. I was sort of like, what the fuck was that about? Because I don't even know what drew me to that room. I don't know how long exactly I was in there, and I don't know, but it was just, I went into a complete different, it's like I was doing some kind of remote viewing or astral projection shit, because I feel like at some point I kind of lifted up. My body was lifting up for whatever reason. It was weird, and this is the kind of stuff that happens to me whenever I first go into a new place and I feel energy, because I'm really sensitive to these kinds of things, like spirits and whatnot. And this is something that's been happening to me my entire life. But anyway, back to this. So don't want to get off point. But so nonetheless, this is addressed, because so lo and behold, this is addressed to that man, the man who committed suicide in that room, David Napton. So whatever. Okay, so I was like, So I called the number, right? I'm like, cool, I won something. I called the number, and I told them that, they said, well, are you I gave them the number, I gave them this card number on here, and I said, yeah, and they said, okay, and I said, I have a matching set, which I do, look, 77777, I've got matching things, so I won. It's like, oh, I won, but there's got to be a catch, right, obviously. I'm not really in the market for a new vehicle. It would be nice to trade my car in for something different, but whatever. So I called the number, and they said, okay, well, come in. Can you come in today? I said, yeah, sure, why not? So I made an appointment for 4 o'clock to go there. And this is on Southeast Military. It's called Red McCombs Toyota. And I said, they said, do you need us to send you an email to the address? I said, no, I think I know where you are. You're right across from the Walmart, right? He said, yes. I said, okay, I'll be there. So he said, and he said, what's your? I said, and something about like that I'm not the person on the name of whatever. And he said, that's okay, doesn't matter, because I live in this house. So it's like, okay, whatever. I live here, so it was okay that even though this is not in my name, and he told me it was okay. So I went over there. He said, come over here and we'll see what you won, and we'll show you around. So I went over there. There's almost probably about 10 cars in the park in the whole lot. I'd say maybe 10 vehicles at the most. They were all like little SUVs. That's about it. There was not hardly any inventory whatsoever. And I walked in there. It was like a trailer. Oh, sorry, it's really hot in here. It was like a like a trailer kind of thing, whatever. where the office was. And I went in there. First of all, there's a man at the front steps. I walked in there. He said hi. I said hi. I'm Lindsay. I said I have. He said, you have an appointment. I said yes. He said, with who? I said I don't know who I spoke to on the phone, but I have an appointment at 4:00. He's like, you don't know with who? I said no. They didn't give me a name. So he's like, okay, well, come on in. So I went in there, and on the radio, they're playing this song, Sister Christian all the time. That song from the 80s, that Sister Christian song in here, okay? And even, okay, I was like, what the fuck? Okay, Sister Christian was on, right? And I walk in there, it's like just a bunch of men, several men at their little kiosks behind the computer, and nobody else is in there. There's some Vogue magazine on the coffee table, and some women's fashion magazines, and there's a like a Coke machine or snack machine and all that. And so I went and sat down. He told me to come sit down at his office. So I went and sat down behind the desk or behind in his little kiosk. And he said, do you own the car? I said, not necessarily, not yet. He said, well, I said, it's not. He said, is it in your name? I said, no. He said, is the car paid off? I said, I don't think it's paid off yet. It's in my mother's name. Can I still, maybe trade it in? And he's like, oh yeah, we'll see what we can do. Let's go see what you won. So we went over there, and he said, and I said, well, look, I have a winning thing. And he said, well, and he showed me this board, this cardboard thing, and he said, well, and there's a number, there's like several numbers on there that were kind of pertaining to this 400 whatever number right there. And mine didn't match it. He's like, well, if your number matches one of these and you won. I was like, well, no, but that's misleading, because that's not even, I didn't get into an argument with him about that, but that's not at all what this says. It says to play, simply lift tabs on card. If you have a matching pair, you win, is exactly what it says right there, okay? That's what it says, and I do have a matching pair, but apparently I didn't win, so it's very misleading. And it says either $50,000 cash, or $5,000 cash, or $1,000 cash, or up to $100 cash. Well, I didn't win anything. I didn't get any prize. But whatever, I needed to go to Walmart anyhow, so it wasn't like a wasted trip. But it was a little interesting experience because there was no women there, just a bunch of men, several men, and that was it, car salesman. And then the place was empty, no customers. And then as I was leaving, I said, may I use your restroom, please? He said, sure. So I went and used the ladies' room. And then as I'm leaving, Eddie Grant, Electric Avenue is playing. I'm like, oh my God, okay, so Electric Avenue was on the radio as I was leaving. Like, okay, so first we've got Sister Christian, and then we've got Electric Avenue. I'm like, nice. Great. It all seems so bizarre. I felt like, I know this is just my imagination running wild, but it seemed very coordinated, like synchronized. The stuff that happens to me is so fucking weird. And when I went in there, they're just all looking at me they were just staring at me like I was an alien. I swear to God, like these men they stopped what they were doing, and they just had this look on their face like they were in shock. Like, okay, I'm not dressed weird. I just have on regular street clothes, I'm not doing anything weird, but you would have thought that a fucking alien walked in there or something. So it's kind of funny. I have the strangest kinds of interactions on a daily basis with people, or people just give me the strangest looks, and it's like they don't really know. They it's weird. I have these kinds of things happen to me, or the people will come up to me in public and just start asking me questions or follow me around, and then they're either really rude to me, people I don't know, total strangers, or they're really nice, like overly nice, and it's like kind of weird. And then they follow me around. Like I went to Walmart after that across the street on Southeast Military, and I was being followed all over the fucking store by random people. They were following me everywhere I went. This one man was following me and just looking at me from aisle to aisle, like making it really obvious. Like this man in a white t-shirt, a Hispanic guy wearing a white t-shirt and like some khaki shorts, just following me everywhere around the store. And this is the kind of stuff that happens to me all the time. I just get followed around in public or whatever. And it was a weird experience at Walmart as usual. And I kept having to go pee. Didn't feel very well. I got kind of nauseated and felt sick to my stomach, so I kept having to go pee. And I can't stand using public bathrooms because fucking bathrooms at Walmart are so fucking nasty. I'm sorry, but the bathrooms were filthy. And that's what I don't understand is how can somebody use a bathroom in public and make such a fucking mess? Like literally people put toilet paper all over the place. They don't flush the toilets. There's shit in the toilets. There's shit on the floor, over flooded toilet paper, baby diapers and crap, tampons, used tampons. It's like, if people can't clean up after themselves, like when you go to the bathroom, what's wrong with humanity? It's not that hard to flush a toilet, okay? It's not that hard to throw something in the wastebasket. And it's like, it smells. That's one thing I've noticed about these public bathrooms, especially at Walmart, is they're filthy, and they always smell like a dead animal, like a dead cow or a dead pig. And I don't eat meat, and I've talked about this as well. I'm a vegetarian. I'm not a vegan 100%, but almost. But I don't eat any meat at all. Nothing. No seafood, no meat, nothing. I find it utterly disgusting and vile, and I will not touch that shit with a 10-foot pole. I find it really gross. I'm sorry that people would eat cows and pigs and call that food. Hey, if you want to do it, fine. I don't, and I never will, and I never am going to. And that's another reason I think people target me, and I get bullied around a lot, because I don't eat meat. And so people assume that if you don't eat meat, you must be weak, you must be crazy, or how do you get any nutrients or protein, or, excuse me, why don't, I suggest that those people that are, I'm not militant. I don't go around telling people what to eat. I'm not a militant vegetarian or vegan, but you know what? Don't fucking tell me what to fucking eat or put in my body. I'll tell you that right now, because that's called medical COINTELPRO. That's another thing that they do to targeted individuals. They use this fucking medical COINTELPRO shit to try to monitor you, what you buy, what you eat. It's like, what's the problem? I take supplements. I take herbal supplements, and I eat a vegetarian diet, and I mostly cook, and sometimes I eat out at these little Mexican places, get something to go, like vegetarian rice and beans or whatever. Wow. Oh, call the fucking police, right? Call the fucking call the fucking medical COINTELPRO. Lindsay's gonna go eat a taco, a vegetarian taco. I mean, the fucking whole world, the whole fucking city goes insane. Like, they start stalking me and doing all their street theater shit if they see me leaving one of these Mexican places or in the drive-thru or whatever. I swear to God, I get so much bizarre fucking gang stalking shit. And the other day, speaking of this gang stalking street theater, the other day I went to the Dollar Tree over there on New Braunfels by McCreeless Shopping Center here in San Antonio. I go to a lot of them, and I kind of like to check up on things because I go there so much that I feel like I work there as a mystery shopper. Because all the Dollar Trees that I go to in San Antonio, I've been to a lot of them, they all are so different. Like, some of them are really dirty and just no inventory. Others are always really good inventory and whatever. And it's weird vibes at these Dollar Trees, I swear. And I've been to a lot of them, and I go very regularly to the Dollar Tree to buy things like cleaning supplies, toilet paper, energy drinks, whatever, and it's, because it's cheaper. Paper towels, things like that. But, weird shit happens to me at the Dollar Tree all the time as well. And so yesterday I went to the Dollar Tree, and right there out front, there was this guy wearing all black. He had on he looked like a Spider-Man. Like he had on a tight, it looked like a wetsuit, like he was gonna go scuba diving or something. But he has really tight black clothing, like long sleeve. It like must have been like really fucking hot outside. I'm like, damn, aren't you fucking hot? I'm thinking. He's got on just pure black, long sleeve, and he's got this black thing around his face, and he's covering half of his face. And he asked me, he's like, "Hey, can you help me out with some money?" I said, "I'm sorry, I don't have any. I don't have any money on me." And he said, "Well, can you get me some ramen noodles?" I said, "Okay, yeah." And I said, "Wait a minute." And he's like, "Hey," but he's like, "Hey, neighbor." I was like, "Oh yeah, you do look familiar." And apparently, this is a guy who used to come around next door to this house, next door to me. But he usually would have his hair dyed blue or red or orange or pink sometimes. And he's always on a skateboard, kind of a little punk looking kid, right? Guy. And he had this big gash on his forehead, like a big wound on his forehead. And he started telling me that he's schizophrenic and that his mother kicked him out and that he's over there by the fire station on Delmar, across from the fire station, sleeping in a tent or something. And I said, "Are you on any medication or anything?" Or I said, "How are you doing now?" He's like, "Well, no, I haven't been on." He just started rambling, like he was on drugs. I felt bad for him. I was like, "Oh my God, the poor guy," because he said he was schizophrenic and that his mother kicked him out of the house and that he's got a child, like some daughter that he hasn't seen in 6 years. But he recognized me, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I recognize you," because we would hang out here a lot at this house. And poor guy. I mean, I did kind of feel bad for him because I said, "How old are you?" He's like, I think he said he was 32 or 33 or something. He looked like a teenager. He was so emaciated and just like looked like he had not eaten in about a week. He just looked like he was malnourished or deprived of food. And so he said, "Well, can you get me some ramen noodles and a drink?" I said, "Sure, yeah." And so I got him that, and I brought it back out to him, and he was really happy about that. And then I saw him, and he went away on a skateboard. But I was like, "Shit," but I did ask him. I was like, "Don't you get any?" He said he was on disability. And I said, "Well, they should be helping you out with housing. That's not right that you should be living on the streets. You should be able to get housing for your condition. That's not fair, because if the guy is schizophrenic, he can't help it. It's a mental disease. People who are schizophrenic suffer immensely. It's not a laughing matter. It's a debilitating, horrible, discriminatory disease, mental disease. And people suffer so much from mental disease, mental illness. And it's like, poor guy, I just break it really. There's one thing that really makes me upset are people who are suffering on the streets that have like maybe some kind of comorbidity of mental illness with schizophrenia or borderline or depression, and maybe they're doing drugs or alcohol and they're just so whacked out sometimes. But this guy was not on any drugs. I said, "Are you taking anything?" He said, "No, I'm clean." I said, "Well, that's good. Stay that." I said, keep it up. Keep up the good work, but go eat. You need to take care of yourself, and you need to try to get housing, because you can't be living. I said, "You shouldn't be living on the streets. You shouldn't be. The government should be helping you with housing. There's no excuse. Unless you're a drug addict, and if you're trying to better yourself, then you should have the right to housing." And it made me mad when he told me that his mother had kicked him out. It made me mad, because you know what? There's a lot of negligent parents out there who, you know what? I don't care if the kid is 30. I don't care if he's 50. I don't care if he's 60. I don't care if he's 15, or man or woman. Your parents are responsible. The parents are the ones your parents should not neglect their child. I don't care how old your kid is. If you're a parent with a child or adult child who is mentally ill or whatever, needs help with something, you as a parent, I'm not a parent, but I'm speaking because I see this all the time. People are just negligent. Like, parents have kids that are grown up, and the kids have this arrested development. They're messed up on drugs or mentally ill. And mental illness, like I said, it's not their fault. It's genetic usually. It's not his fault. If you're mentally ill and severe and genuinely schizophrenic or mentally ill, whatever, it's not your fault. Don't blame yourself. A lot of that kind of stuff, yes, it's environmental and it's societal, because people who are always watching the fucking mainstream media and all the propagandized shit and all the grandiose expectations that are placed on individuals to succeed and to look a certain way and to behave a certain way and make a certain amount of money. And you know, most people, realistically speaking, when you've been through a lot of trauma in your life, whether it be childhood trauma or things that are beyond your control, there's a lot of stigma that is placed on people who have suffered with mental illness and whatnot, and society's real mean. I would say that more than anything, the people who get treated the worst are people who are quote unquote mentally ill, according to the DSM whatever, and this whole fucking punitive psychiatry shit, which it's all about. What is it about? Social control. Why are people, a lot of the times people who are diagnosed as schizophrenia or schizoaffective or whatever, or depression or antisocial personality disorder, it's usually because they're just different. They're just on a different level of mentality, and they don't go along, obviously, with the system. They don't go along with the mainstream propaganda, and so therefore they don't fit in. And when you don't fit in, you can't really hold a job. You can't really function like you're supposed to in society. And so you get, these people, become, because this almost happened to me, you get denied disability, you become homeless, you become poor, you die from anxiety and stress or getting sick. Most of the times people like this don't have health insurance. They don't have a place to live. And god damn it, this fucking topic makes me mad, because the fucking country, this fucking government spends more money on some fucking bullshit fake war on terror, okay, as opposed to helping the domestic issues right here in the United States, such as the veterans, homeless veterans who need help, who are basically fucked up because of all the fucking wars, right? Because of fighting some fucking bullshit war that they got duped into joining the military. And a lot of them are all fucked up permanently with PTSD and whatnot, or whatever, damaged limbs or mental, beyond mental repair because of all the trauma that they suffered, the PTSD, and it's just fucked up. This is something that I am very adamant about. I mean, more than anything, I wish that this country would quit fucking focusing on stealing other countries' resources and going to war with all these fucking countries and starting all this fucking chaos. Unnecessary, spending billions of dollars on weapons and shit for an unnecessary fake war on terror, when in fact, no, focus more on the domestic issues. There's no need for that. There's really a lot of need to focus on what's actually happening in the cities, on the streets, with people who are suffering because they get fucking turned away from housing, they get turned away from healthcare, from getting a job. Okay, this is what the fucking country, if they had any goddamn sense, would focus on. But no, it's more about funding the elite for their fucking pedophilia, their porno addictions, their fucking human trafficking, drug trafficking. That's where all the fucking money is. A fake war on terror. And you wonder why people like me get pissed off as a targeted individual who fucking speaks my mind and goes through this shit every day, all the stigma and discrimination, because I fight and I'm a voice. I speak the truth, and people hate the truth. They can't stand people who speak the truth. And you know what? I don't fucking care. I don't have any friends. I mean, I've got associates, right? Yeah, okay, but friends? No, my family, fuck that. They've all turned against me. They think I'm crazy, delusional, and I've gotten used to that. I've gotten used to having no real support, no real friends. People come and go out of my life all the time, just like on a whim. Okay? But the friends that I do have, the connections that I do have, are people who I have a true connection with, because I'm unfortunately, I'm very loyal to some of the very wrong kinds of individuals who end up seeing my vulnerabilities as a weakness. And that's what happens to me a lot. But no, I might look like I might be weak, but no, I'm actually quite strong-minded and stubborn and level-headed. But when I get pissed off, when people fucking lie to me and fuck with my head and piss me off and play their little fucking games and shit like that, then I kick your ass out the fucking door and you don't get second, third chances with me. That's, that's the way I see it. And I don't play fucking games and mind games like a lot of people do here to try to fit in or to try to, that's bullshit. You have to accept yourself and love yourself no matter how fucked up you are or whatever, but don't try to conform to what society expects you to be, because you're never gonna be good enough. If you're not good enough, you just be good enough for yourself, because at the end of the day, what really matters is if you are kind to yourself and good to yourself and respect yourself and try to treat people with the way you want to be treated. That's the way. That's kind of a silly way of putting it. That it sounds really cliche, but if you want to be treated well, treat people well. If you want to be treated like shit, treat people like shit. If you want to be disrespected, disrespect people. If you want to be lied to, then fucking lie to people. But what goes around comes around, and people who fucking lie and play petty games with people's emotions and exploit people sexually, financially, and whatever, all that stuff that people do is going to come back to get them because of karma. It will come back to get you when you do that kind of thing to people. Whether you want to accept that or not, that's just how it works. It will come back in one way or another to get you, because that's the way the universe works. That's the universal law of karma. What you do and do to if you manifest your own reality, basically. Okay, you are in control of that. You don't have control over everything that happens in your life, but you are able to steer in the right direction. If you want to avoid certain individuals, then you avoid them. If you want to, if you think positively and manifest good things in your life, good things will happen to you. It is a power of the mind. It is a power of positive thinking. It is a power of your intuition, which you should always pay close attention to that when you get these feelings around certain individuals and you feel like there's something a little bit like off that you don't quite know how to explain it, or you just know something is a little bit off. Well, guess what that's your intuition speaking to you. That's that's God. That's your higher power telling you, warning you. And you really you really ought to pay attention to these things, because it could save your life. It could save your life. And yeah, that's it. That's all my talk for today. Thank you.